The year is 1219, a time when the world was vastly different from what we know today. Kingdoms and empires rose and fell, and the fate of entire civilizations hung in the balance. Imagine, if you will, the sun-baked plains of Central Asia. These vast, arid landscapes stretched as far as the eye could see, a harsh and unforgiving environment that shaped the lives of those who called it home. Smell the dust and spices of a bustling Silk Road caravanserai. This was a place where cultures converged, where merchants from distant lands traded goods, stories, and ideas. The air was thick with the scent of exotic spices, a testament to the rich tapestry of human civilization. Hear the calls to prayer echoing from minarets that pierce the sky. These were the sounds of a deeply spiritual people, whose lives were intertwined with their faith. The call to prayer was a reminder of the divine, a moment of reflection in the midst of daily life. This was the Khwarazmian Empire at its zenith, a sprawling realm of riches and power. Its cities were bustling centers of commerce and culture, where scholars and artisans thrived. The empire was a beacon of prosperity, in a world often marked by strife and hardship. But on the horizon, a storm brewed. Dark clouds gathered, signaling a change that would alter the course of history. The Khwarazmian Empire, despite its wealth and power, was about to face a challenge unlike any it had encountered before. A force of nature was gathering, borne on the backs of shaggy ponies. These were the Mongols, a nomadic people whose way of life was shaped by the harsh realities of the steppe. They were fierce warriors, skilled in the art of war and driven by a relentless ambition. This was no ordinary tempest, this was the wrath of Genghis Khan. A leader of unparalleled vision and ruthlessness, Genghis Khan had united the Mongol tribes under his banner, forging them into a formidable force that would soon sweep across the known world. The Mongols were coming, hungry for conquest and driven by an ambition as boundless as the steppes they called home. Their advance was swift and relentless, a tide of destruction that would leave no corner of the Khwarazmian Empire untouched. Their leader, a man forged in the crucible of tribal warfare, bore the title Genghis Khan, the Great Khan, and his name would soon be whispered with a mix of fear and awe from the Yellow Sea to the Caspian. His vision was not just of conquest, but of a new world order, one that would be shaped by the might of the Mongol Empire. The Khwarazmian Empire, fattened by years of peace and prosperity, seemed ripe for the taking. Its wealth and splendor, once a source of pride, now made it a tantalizing target for the Mongol horde. What followed would be a clash of civilizations, a titanic struggle that would leave an indelible mark on the map of the world. The Mongol invasion would reshape the political and cultural landscape of Central Asia, setting the stage for a new era in human history. To understand the Mongol fury about to break upon the Khwarazmian Empire, one must first understand the man who wielded it like a blade. Born Temujin, Genghis Khan was no silver-spooned prince. He entered a world of violence and betrayal, a world where survival was a daily struggle. Orphaned at a young age, he navigated the treacherous currents of tribal politics through sheer cunning and a ruthless will to survive. He unified the often warring Mongol tribes, a feat previously thought impossible. His warriors, honed by years of intertribal conflict, were the most disciplined and feared cavalry the world had ever seen. They rode like centaurs, firing arrows with deadly accuracy from horseback. Their loyalty to Genghis Khan was absolute, forged in the fires of countless victories. They were his hammer, and the Khwarazmian Empire was about to become his anvil. On the other side of this impending collision stood the Khwarazmian Empire, ruled by Shah Ala ad-Din Muhammad II. He was known as a valiant warrior, a patron of the arts, and a devout Muslim. His empire stretched from the lands of modern-day Iraq to the borders of India, encompassing a tapestry of cultures, languages, and peoples. Its cities, such as Samarkand, Bukhara, and Urgench, were jewels of the Silk Road, glittering with wealth and teeming with scholars, artists, and merchants. But the Shah, despite his martial prowess, bore the seeds of his own downfall. He was known for his arrogance and his often cruel treatment of rivals and enemies. His empire, though vast, was a patchwork of conquered kingdoms, many still resentful of their subjugation. This internal weakness, coupled with the Shah's fateful misjudgment of Genghis Khan, would prove to be the empire's undoing. Section 4. A caravanserai of death. The initial contact between the two empires held the promise of peaceful coexistence. The Mongol Empire, under the leadership of Genghis Khan, was expanding rapidly, and the Khwarazmian Empire, ruled by Shah Ala ad-Din Muhammad, was a significant power in the region. Both empires stood to gain from mutual cooperation, with the Silk Road serving as a vital artery for trade and cultural exchange. Genghis Khan, ever the pragmatist, saw the potential for trade and cultural exchange. He envisioned a future where goods, ideas, and people could move freely between the two empires, enriching both. His strategic mind was always looking for ways to strengthen his empire, not just through conquest, but also through diplomacy and trade. He sent a diplomatic mission laden with gifts and bearing messages of goodwill to the Shah's court. The envoys carried luxurious items, rare spices and precious metals, hoping to impress the Shah and pave the way for a lasting alliance. The journey was long and arduous, but the envoys were determined to fulfill their mission. The Khan's envoys arrived at the city of Otrar, a bustling trading hub on the Silk Road. Otrar was a melting pot of cultures, where merchants from all over the world came to trade their goods. The envoys expected to be welcomed with open arms, as their mission was one of peace and prosperity. They expected to be received as honored guests, but instead they met with suspicion and treachery. The city guards eyed them warily, and the atmosphere was tense. The envoys, who had traveled so far with hopes of friendship, were taken aback by the cold reception. The governor of Otrar in Alchuk, a man driven by greed and paranoia, accused the Mongol envoys of being spies. Inalchuk, known for his ruthless nature, saw an opportunity to enrich himself by seizing the valuable goods the envoys had brought. His paranoia led him to believe that the envoys were a threat to his power. He seized their goods, imprisoned their entourage, and in a move that would have dire consequences, executed the ambassadors themselves. This act of treachery was not just a personal affront to Genghis Khan, but a violation of the sacred laws of diplomacy and hospitality that were respected by all civilized nations. When word of this outrage reached Genghis Khan, his legendary rage was said to have shaken the earth. The Khan, who valued loyalty and honor above all else, saw this as an unforgivable insult. His anger was not just for the loss of his envoys, but for the betrayal of trust and the breach of diplomatic protocol. He saw this as a grave insult, a violation of the sacred laws of hospitality. In the Mongol culture, hospitality was a sacred duty, and to violate it was to invite the wrath of the gods. Genghis Khan made a solemn vow to avenge the deaths of his envoys and to punish those responsible for this heinous act. The die was cast, and the Mongol war machine, fueled by a thirst for vengeance, began to roll westward. The Mongol army, known for its discipline and ferocity, prepared for a campaign that would leave a lasting mark on history. The Shah's empire would soon feel the full might of Genghis Khan's wrath, as the Mongols set out to exact their revenge. Section 5. The sacking of Samarkand. The Mongol invasion was a military tidal wave, an unstoppable force that swept across the lands with terrifying speed and efficiency. City after city fell before their relentless advance, each one succumbing to the overwhelming might of the Mongol war machine. Bukhara, one of the most important centers of Islamic learning in the world, was put to the sword. Its defenders were no match for the Mongol onslaught. Its mosques and libraries, repositories of centuries of knowledge, were looted and burned. The cultural and intellectual loss was immeasurable. But it was the fall of Samarkand, the crown jewel of the Khwarazmian Empire, that sent shockwaves throughout the Islamic world. This city was not just a strategic target, it was a symbol of prosperity and cultural achievement. Samarkand, renowned for its beauty and opulence, was a prize coveted by many conquerors. Its grand architecture and bustling markets were the envy of the region. Its capture was not just a military victory for Genghis Khan, it was a symbolic triumph. It demonstrated the sheer power and reach of the Mongol Empire. The Mongols, masters of siege warfare, used a combination of brute force and cunning strategy to breach the city's defenses. Their tactics were as innovative as they were ruthless. They diverted the Zarafshan River, which flowed through the heart of Samarkand, depriving the city of its water supply. This act of engineering brilliance left the city vulnerable and desperate. When the gates finally buckled, the Mongol horde surged through the streets, leaving a trail of carnage in their wake. The once vibrant city was reduced to ruins. its people either killed or enslaved. The sacking of Samarkand was a turning point in the Mongol conquests. It showcased their ability to conquer and destroy even the most fortified and celebrated cities. The fall of Samarkand echoed through history, a testament to the devastating power of the Mongol Empire. Section 6. The Price of Defiance. The citizens of Samarkand, like those of other conquered cities, were given a stark choice. Surrender and be spared, or resist and face the full fury of the Mongol army. Many chose to fight, inspired by their faith and determined to defend their homes. But their courage was no match for the Mongol war machine. Genghis Khan, a master of psychological warfare, made examples of those who dared to oppose him. He understood that terror could be a weapon as potent as any sword. The stories of Mongol brutality, often exaggerated in the retelling, spread like wildfire, sowing fear and breaking the will to resist. The message was clear: defiance comes at a terrible price. This strategy of calculated terror, while undeniably brutal, proved ruthlessly effective in breaking the back of the once mighty Khwarazmian Empire.